saying you can't just beat Colorado by 7 and cover the spread. You got to beat Colorado in a dominant way to really show, I don't want to use the word Nebraska's back, but to show that Nebraska could actually accomplish something bigger, 7 or 8 wins. When you play teams who aren't very good, Colorado included in that conversation, you got to go out and show dominance. You got to go out and show the D-line can get pressure on the QB. You got to go out and show the offense can move the ball. You got to show that you can score and you can handle pressure. Nebraska did all of that today. There was some questionable play calling at certain times in the second half. Lack of execution at certain times in the second half. But for the most part, Nebraska came out hot. They dominated in the beginning of the game, and that was enough to create the separation that we needed to finish it off with a convincing win. I guess that's what we're going to go with. We're going to call this convincing. Convincing is what I am, or convinced is what I am right now. I'm convinced that Nebraska can do more than what the expectation says. The 8 wins, they can go and play against Ohio State, and I don't want to say potentially win because there's still a lot left to prove, but when you beat the teams you're supposed to in dominating fashion, it gives guys like me who are harsh critics, people who say, people like me who say, it's a long way away from having a conversation about beating the USCs, the Iowas, the Ohio States, basically the dominant teams. I know Iowa lost today. You get my point, though. Today was convincing. But here's my number one takeaway. I don't want to get too deep into the game because I watched it from the stands, and I was just cheering the entire time. I was excited. You can hear my voice lost a little bit. Today, the fans showed up. Today, the 12th man did their job. We talk about how Nebraska is not very good at home field. Like, there's no home field advantage when you come and play in Lincoln. Today, there was. And, home field advantage only works when both parties do their job. When the fans come up and they support, which they did, and when the players execute and do their job, which they did. Jamari Butler, Ty Robinson, John Bullock, Tommy Hill. The whole defense was lights out. Deshaun Singleton's flying around there. Marquise Buford's over there in the end zone trying to get the whole stadium hyped up to make sure we don't let them in the end zone. There were just so many moments where you saw the players playing at the highest level, and that's something you haven't seen in the past, and that's why Nebraska home edge, because they don't have guys who step up in the clutch and make big plays. Nebraska's home field advantage is significant, and I don't want to say they're going to go undefeated at home and make some crazy claim right now, but it feels like this year they could go undefeated at home for the first time since 2016? Is that the last time it was? I think 2016. I felt good being in that environment. I felt like, and again, I don't want to use that word Nebraska's back, but I felt like people are starting to believe again. I felt like it's time for me to start believing again. I got emotional. I'm going to sound like a pussy a little bit. And I just told some lady outside the stadium that I keep my show clean, like she's appreciative of that. And I know sometimes I cuss. When I'm emotional, I cuss. I'm not trying to be offensive. But I'm sitting there, and I'm not kidding you, my eyes started tearing up. When the fans are cheering in the beginning of the game because Nebraska's making huge plays, my eyes are watering. And I'm like, man, I don't know how I can handle this because I haven't been in an environment where I actually thought something big could happen. That's why people rush the field tonight. And that's another thing I was going to talk about. I told people, don't rush the field. That's embarrassing. We're not Baylor. We're not West Virginia. You don't rush the field when you're a favorite, right? When you're supposed to win a game, why would you rush? You're supposed to rush the field when you accomplish something unbelievable. That wasn't like accomplishing something unbelievable, but that emotion that I felt, that we all felt, it forced people to rush the field because it's like, man, it's been such a long time since you could sit at a game that was that close of a spread, that was that significant, and feel like, wow, Nebraska actually did it. And I believe they could do it again. We're in a position now where anything could happen. That whole idea that Ohio State's an automatic loss, that's out the window. Nothing's an automatic loss anymore. There isn't a single game on this schedule where you're like, well, it's an auto loss. We're going to leave the stadium by halftime or turn it off by halftime, whatever. This team can accomplish big things. I walked over here with John Johnson. He's sitting across from me right now. He did his reaction. And John, his whole point was the team was dominant and they were flying around on defense. And Nebraska playing against a team, an offense, who ranked, I think, in the top 5 last season. I think their total offense was top 5. And they have just as many or more weapons than they did than last season. Nebraska absolutely dominated them. Shedeur could not move the ball. Their offensive line couldn't block this team. They couldn't run the ball. They had negative 26 yards rushing up until the fourth quarter. Are you freaking kidding me? Negative 26 yards rushing? I know sacks, a lot of sacks, but that's the point. They got a lot of sacks. It's exciting. I was really emotional this game, and I'm just glad that I feel like all of this patience, I guess we could say, is paying off. All of this time we spent hoping, wanting, waiting, thinking maybe one day things will get corrected. Maybe one day the players will execute. Maybe one day Matt Rule will get this fucking ship righted. Today's the day. Today it feels like we're back in action. So I'm really excited. That's kind of the bottom line. I haven't read the chat yet. Let me look at a couple things. Today's an emotional day for me, man. Serial, thank you for the 20 memberships, for donating those. I appreciate you a ton. Gifted memberships to the whole chat. Colorado got humbled. Colorado didn't get humbled. Colorado got embarrassed. They didn't show up. They scored a touchdown this game, and they did it in the fourth quarter? Garbage time, essentially. Colorado had that backup QB in at the end of the game. I don't know his name. He was number 16 when they pulled out Shadar. I don't know if it was an injury. I don't know if they were trying to say, we don't want to get him hurt because Nebraska's defensive front is nasty. There was something going on where they pulled him out. But they got embarrassed on all levels. Nebraska's offense ran it down their throat. What happened? I'll see you over there. I lost my train of thought, John. You really screwed me up. Let me get back to some chats. There's a lot of people over here at the bars that we're all going out tonight, as you guys know. And there's a reason to celebrate. There's a reason to go out. There's a reason to drink. There's a reason to party. People are freaking flocking to the bars. I saw the line at Barry's. That thing is crazy. Anyway, Twevin says, I feel so bad for Ja'Cory Barney. Every time he makes a big play, it gets called back. Man, Ja'Cory Barney is Nebraska's next secret weapon. You know who I saw today, who I met, was DeMornay Pearsonell. And during that game, I thought about DeMornay being similar to a Ja'Cory, like that multi-use player. Could be a returner, could be a receiver. Ja'Cory could take it out the backfield on those jet sweeps. He could catch it downfield. Ja'Cory had that one that got broken off and it came back from a holding. Painful. But it doesn't matter. Ja'Cory Barney still got that film, and we all know what he's going to turn into. Massive Ja'Cory Barney day. Let's see here. Matt says top 25 this week. Dead ass. I wouldn't be surprised. Iowa went down. Who else? Georgia Tech went down. Those are two teams up at the top of the top 25. Like they're between 21 and 25, like 21 and 23 or something. If they fall out, that clears the path for Nebraska. I don't know if it's going to happen. Nebraska's going to be very close to getting that ranking because they look like a complete team. That's what the national media has been waiting for. They've been waiting for Nebraska to get it done on both sides. It's exciting. Christopher Motley says, you might make the Pop-Tart Bowl. Christopher, you and I aren't watching the same football game. Don't get me started says they rushed the field. They rushed the field, and the announcers were saying the entire time, get off the field, get off the field. They were trying to say it and say, calm it down. We got to clear out. You got to get to the exits. But people didn't listen. They wanted to rush. And I get it. It's been such a long time since there was anything to be positive about. I told John last night, you're an asshole for going and encouraging the Nebraska students to act like this is Baylor. This isn't Baylor. This is the University of Nebraska. You don't storm the field. Colorado stormed the field last year when they beat Nebraska as a favorite. And that was embarrassing. It's like, what are you doing? And now Nebraska did it. But at the same time, Nebraska's been such a damn joke. What else are you going to do? Why wouldn't you storm the field? This program's been trash can for a long time. It just feels like we're out of the gutter. I sat next to a couple Nebraska fans tonight. I sat next to one guy who told me he played in the 70s. I sat next to another guy, and both of their sentiments were, it feels like we have a reason to believe going into, this game. And the last few seasons, you're just kind of sitting there crossing your fingers, not actually believing, just hoping maybe something will go right. But tonight, it was an expectation. If they just do their job, something doesn't happen. It did, so exciting, man. Serial says, the only thing I asked for as a birthday present was for a Husker win. Best B-Day ever, GBR for life. Serial, happy birthday. I'm glad you got that win. SGC Raider says, as an NDSU fan, F Colorado. I don't have any bad blood towards Colorado. I know a lot of people do. I don't want to say love. I really like Deion. I really like Shador. I like Travis. Superstar players. Regardless of what happened today, they're all super good players. And Deion, I think, is a cool coach. He's got his own style. He's unique. But I don't really have any animosity or hate against Colorado. More so just their fans, like the degenerate loser fans. There's like a sect of Colorado fans. They're not the real fans, though. Colorado fans it's the fake fans, the ones who come in bandwagon on Deion, and then they're just talking hella shit, but they don't know what they're talking about because they never actually rooted for Colorado before today. You know what I'm saying? That's just, my thought on their fans. I like that a convincing win, it makes our future look brighter. Yeah, it feels like, Nebraska's in the conversation for 10 wins now. Now when people come to my stream and they're like, well, Connor, what's it going to take for you to believe that Nebraska could win 10 or 11? Well, I believe it now. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people in that stadium believe it now. I'll tell you who else believes it. The fucking players do. I'm sorry for not keeping it clean. I know someone told me tonight, she's like, I appreciate you keeping it clean. I said, sometimes I get emotional. Today, I'm not kidding you. Teary-eyed going into that game today. The fans are cheering before. I'm like, dude, this is an unbelievable environment. I wasn't at that 2014 Miami game. People said that's like the epitome. That was the craziest they've ever seen. Well, this is the craziest I've ever seen. This was nuts. It was loud as shit the entire way through. Man, people were so passionate. They wanted it so bad. The players wanted it so bad. You saw them on the sideline. It just felt right. I'm coming down off this high right now. You guys know I've been pumping content all week. It's been 4 videos in 4 days. And I had to get up at like 3:30 yesterday morning, come out here. I was out at the bars drinking all night. I had to get up this morning, run it back, full day walking around, doing our thing, going to tailgates. I'm tired. I am defeated. I'm beat up. So I'm coming off this like emotional high of the last few days. But it feels so good to beat a team who I know some try and say isn't our rival. Team to me who is a rival. It feels good to get it back after that loser ass kicking we took last season, because last season didn't really, didn't sit right with me, since it didn't feel like a real loss. It felt like Nebraska shot themselves in the foot. Colorado didn't actually take that win. And today they really made a point to say, now that we got shit worked out, now that we got a complete offense, I'm gonna put it that way to be nice. I don't want to be bashing on certain players from last year. Now we got a complete offense. This is what it looks like to play Nebraska football. Joel, thank you for the $20 super chat. I appreciate the support. Mickle to Pickle says, Coach Prime paid the refs. The second half was BS. That was crazy that they called so many freaking penalties. Quarter, something stupid. I saw the screen and they're showing the stats. It's just like penalty. It's just racking up. Jeff Forster, thank you for being a Corn Craze Army member. I appreciate you joining. Cole says refs tried to blow the game. It wasn't even that they could blow the game. They were just slowing shit down. That game was never getting blown. Nebraska could have gone foot to the pedal at the end. They could have scored again if they needed to. They didn't because of the refs and all that. But if they wanted to, they could have. Dude, you know how heavy of a ball move it is when you take a knee, not at the goal line, but within the red zone, and you're like, I could score on you, but I'm not going to. That's what Nebraska did tonight. They got up there. Dylan Riles starts hyping up the fans. They take a freaking knee. It was so beautiful. When's the last time you got to see that? A lot of comments on the holding calls and all that nonsense. Caden says, I took a pic with you. I took a million pictures this weekend. I'm not kidding you. I took 100 pictures yesterday, took 100 today. I met a lot of people from the Corn Craze Army. You guys are awesome. I had a really good time in Lincoln, like a really good time. Surf Bogey says, what do you think about the play calling? I'm hoping that Satterfield just held back plays and saved for tougher games. Colorado made some adjustments. I didn't really like all the plays that they were calling. There was some underneath stuff. There were some runs at times where I thought maybe they could pass it. There were some execution errors, some drop balls, some balls that were like Dylan didn't get to it in time. Colorado was bringing pressure. I don't know how much of it was play calling versus the team wasn't executing on their job, right? In the beginning of the game, the play calling was exceptional, though. So, yeah, I guess my final thought on play calling is let me go back and watch the game, because I was sitting, in a good spot, but it's hard to process when you're cheering and getting emotional and really in it. It's hard to really analyze the game from the perspective you're trying to right now. So let me go back and watch the game, and I'll get back to you on the play calling. I'll have a video where I break down all my thoughts, because right now, it's just more of an emotional, happy point for me. Connor says, realistically, we're national champions. Yeah, people are going to get crazy hyped. I said that this week. If Nebraska goes and does their thing against Colorado, not does their thing in terms of win by 7, goes and does their thing like they did today, the national media is going to come out, and they're going to start typing up Nebraska and Matt Rule, Dylan Raiola, start talking about them like they're next up. And honestly, it looks like they are next up. So I hope they do hype them up. But, I prefer realistic takes. I prefer controlled optimism. And I don't know how controlled it's going to be if Nebraska starts off 4-0, 5-0, gets in the top 25. I just think, the national media is going to run with it. Then there's going to be a bunch of bandwagon fans who come onto the Nebraska train. Oh my God. It's going to be interesting. Sorry if it's loud in here. I'm in a hotel. I forgot the room key. It's just the whole thing. But we're doing our thing. Colorado was dirty again on defense. I think there were 2 Colorado targeting penalties. I think there was one on Mekhi Bayer. But the one on Bayer was kind of funny. I was like, is that really a targeting call? I don't know about that. Miles says, we made their good players frustrated today. It was good to see. Yeah, their good players were pissed. You could tell Shador was sitting there, and he couldn't get anything going on. I mean, his line got dominated, got their ass kicked, which I loved watching. Nebraska's defense, they're nasty. Deputy Goose, thank you for the $10 super chat. He says our D really showed just how good they are, and our offense has some dudes. Man, Ja'Cory Barney is one of those guys. Isaiah Nayor is one of those guys. Dylan Raiola, Dowdell, Emmett Johnson, Ramir Johnson. Shout out Ramir Johnson coming back off injury, and my God, he's explosive. He's fast. He's hitting corners hard. He catches the ball. He's jumping over dudes. Nebraska's running back room's got some sickos. Warson, thank you for the $5 super chat. GBR. Sorry for missing you after the game. Defense looked incredible. The refs were awful too. Yeah, it was funny. The refs were fine all game, and in the end, they just started acting like weirdos. I didn't really understand that. Tommy, thank you for the $2 super chat. He says, go freaking Big Red. Or no, go Big freaking Red. Yell it. I should yell it. But I'm not going to. My voice is already gone. I've been yelling it all day. People are all chill now. Like, you understand, we've been turned up all day at the game. Like, the energy at the game was so insane. People were yelling like you wouldn't believe. Swill says, why did it look like Sat held back in the second half? I think they wanted to play clock control. Not clock control, sorry. They wanted to control the clock. They wanted to make sure that they just didn't give Colorado many opportunities. They tried to run the ball straight at him. It felt like if they would have completed a few passes that went incomplete, obviously, it felt like Nebraska would have scored a little bit more and it wouldn't have looked as bad on offense as it did in the second half. But, you know, they just didn't go their way. Colorado definitely adjusted. Their defense got better as the game went on. Husker Nation, thank you for donating 50 Corn Craze memberships. I appreciate you a ton. Matt Burns, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, what's your updated record prediction after this win? Also, when's the merch dropping? My updated record prediction, I'm going to go with 9 right now. I think that's got to be the expectation. This team looks good. Let's say 9, but there's a potential at 10. Nebraska could definitely win 10. They could win 11. I think, you know, going 12-0 would be insane. Even going 11-1 would be crazy. But, I mean, you play good, you play well this rest of the season, they could win 10 games. They could do it. 9's realistic in my eyes, though. 9's very realistic. Merch. I'm not doing merch this year. I've got leftover merch. If you hit me up, I can get you merch. But I'm not doing any new merch drop. It's a lot of work to design. It's a lot of work to manage it, to send it out. And I've got some other projects I'm working on in addition to making content all the time for this channel. So, yeah, it's hard. I don't know if you can tell. I'm tired. I'm defeated. Like, I have a full freaking slate. And now that we're in the heart of football season, like, it's a lot. My travel is crazy. I'm going like to a new place every weekend. I'm just beat. So I'm doing the best I can with the energy I've got, right? Let's see. Trenton says, I'm taking my daughter to her first Nebraska game for the Rutgers game. Yeah, it's going to be lit there. I'll tell you what, Nebraska fans are pumped up now. They're back. It's not that sit down. They were standing up the entire time. It's not that sit down, chill energy. Like, let's see if they can do something. We know they're going to do something, so we're going to do our part too as the 12th man. We're going to be fired up the entire way through. And that's what they did. It was so good to see. It was so good to see. I didn't hear an FCU chant. Huddle Highlight says, what are your thoughts on the FCU chant? I didn't hear them saying that. I mean, I'm sure it came from the student section. I sat on the 45 on the Nebraska sideline in the 12th row. I paid $330 for a single. I bought it about 30 minutes before kickoff. My buddy paid $280 for his. He was sitting in the same spot, but on the 25-yard line. So all in, we were at the game for about 6-10 together, sitting in good seats. It was expensive, but man, it was an experience, let me tell you. It's funny though, you know, it was this crazy emotional ride up to the second half, and then it kind of came crashing down as things slowed down. That was interesting. Bassman, thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, GBR, waiting for a long time for a big win to get the season rolling. It feels like now there's like optimism that we're not just hoping for a bowl game, right, Bassman? We're hoping for Big Ten title. We're hoping for playoff spot. We're hoping for crazy awards list, like, you know, not Heisman, but like, you know, guys winning the Outland Trophy type shit. Guys winning big, meaningful, significant awards. Guys earning first team or second team all conference. That's awesome. It's a lot more fun to talk about and cover Nebraska football when there's shit to look forward to. And right now there's just so much. Thanks, Bassman. Let's see. Dylan, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you for being a member. He says, thank Matt Bruna for the membership, GBR. I felt like so many of their players were throwing temper tantrums. Shador leaving early. Shake my head. Can someone tell me in the chat why Shador left? Do you know why Shador left early? You don't know?
No, they just want to get him out of there.
He thinks that they just wanted to get Shador out because Shador, he doesn't need to take an injury right now when the game was already over. You know what I mean? So I'm guessing he didn't leave early because he was just pouting. But, he probably had to get pulled out because that's your star player. Colorado's season starts and finishes with Shador Sanders. Am I wrong on that? It starts and finishes with him. So you got to protect him at all costs, especially when you already got the game wrapped up and you're not going to win it. So whatever, it is what it is, Logic's Finest says, time of possession, like I said, Colorado season is over. The coaching is bad. They have the talent. Dion is another superstar that can't coach. It's a rebuild at Colorado. You got to realize Colorado's in a gutter spot, right? They came in with a worse situation than Nebraska had. And Dion doesn't have the resources that Nebraska does. He can't go and recruit the same level of players that Nebraska can at a consistent rate. He can get some of the top-end guys who are excited, but he can't get the depth that Nebraska can over at Colorado. You know what I mean? Nebraska's getting 4-star, borderline 5-star talent coming in who's playing right away, and they've got multiple guys like that. Dion can't get that. If he's getting a 5-star or a 4-star, he's got to get them in and on the field day one, or they're not coming. So Colorado's just in a totally different position. But that's why I kind of make fun of the whole Colorado argument. It's like, that team's not a good team. They're kind of a mess. I don't know. I feel bad for Colorado. Their team's weak. The other Dave says, surprised we didn't see Carter Nelson. I was a little surprised that Carter Nelson wasn't out there. But, Carter Nelson's a true freshman. They got a lot of weapons. Ja'Cory Barney, he's out there. He's a true freshman. How many true freshmen can you play? Willis McGahee, another true freshman. He got in there, got the strip sack at the end of the game. Freaking awesome. Nebraska's depth, though, that goes back to my point. Nebraska's got this sick depth. Colorado doesn't got that going on. It's just not even the same. It's not even the same level of playing fields. You know what I mean? Colorado is I don't want to call them, a FCS team, but they're okay. They're like a group of 5 team. They're similar to that. So that's why I was saying at the beginning of this video, you can't go and beat Colorado. You have to go and dominate Colorado. You couldn't go and beat UTEP. You had to go and dominate UTEP. You win against UTEP by 7, that's a loss. You win against Colorado by 7, that's a loss. They won both these games. I slammed Nebraska minus 6.5, by the way. It paid for my ticket. I slammed it. Right before the game, the vibes were so good. I was like, screw it. I'm getting on that, the website I used to promote, minus 6.5, where pop, 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 hammering, and I did it. And I felt so good watching the game, like, this was the easiest bet of the year. Why didn't I fucking put more? Wink, thank you for being a member. Thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, Wink Bruised here. You've been a stud content creator when we were bad. You're going to murder now. Man, get ready. Freaking, they're blowing the doors off, so am I. If they're going to go out and be winners and we're going to get more viewers and people are going to be more tapped in, I'm coming with more heat. I am passionate about this team. And let me tell you, if I was that passionate when they were losing games and looked like shit, imagine how I'm going to be now when they're winning, when they're competing for stuff. Oh, my God. Get ready, Wink. I'm coming. Get it? Dash Camera, thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, remember hanging on to Hutmacher's jersey till this shoulder pad pop out isn't holding. I couldn't see that. It was really hard for me to see from the stands, all those holding plays. I don't know what you're talking about specifically, but I did see multiple plays where the D-line was getting caught up. Like Ty Robinson, they were grabbing onto him. It was a mess. The Colorado offensive line was desperate. They had to do whatever they could to try and stop that rush. Shador was getting harassed the entire game. So it was just funny to see. I don't complain about them holding. It's just more so like, just hold all game and we'll just keep laughing at you for not being able to stop this elite, I'm going to say that word, elite pass rush. Those guys are awesome. Richard, thank you for the $2 super chat. Give me one sec. He says, a lot of ranked teams went down. We're going to be ranked now. I think there's a really good chance. That Iowa loss and the Georgia Tech loss were big. If Nebraska's ranked, they look like a complete team. They look like they deserve to be ranked. Okay, rank them. I'd love to see it, Richard. Number 1 says CU is overrated. How are they overrated? CU is rated what I expect them to be. I guess if you say by the AP poll standards, but the AP poll is kind of a joke. But the AP poll standards, I think, has them rated at like 35. But nationally, and what we think, and what most fans around the country think, we all think Colorado's a top 60 team at best. So I think they're rated just right. They got some explosive players. You got to remember. Nebraska beating them the way they beat them, taking away their pass game completely, not allowing them to run at all, running it down their throat the entire way. That was an impressive win, okay? Don't take it away from Nebraska by saying Colorado sucks. That was an impressive win. Dre, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, Dion said they were going to be ready for our crowd. They definitely weren't. This is the last game I've been to. Refs were a Big 12 crew. It makes sense. The refs were a Big 12 crew? That's crazy. I didn't know that. I just assumed the home team would get Big 10 refs. But yeah, they were not prepared at all. People said, oh, the crowd, they play in big, crazy environments. What? They looked unprepared as hell today. I mean, Shador's up at the line trying to get people together. They're moving around, scrambling. The crowd definitely had an impact. I mean, from a momentum standpoint, it got so much juice flowing through the stadium. You should have seen the players on the sideline. I mean, if you were at the game, you did. They're jumping up and down before the game. All throughout the first half, they're on fire the entire way through, banging on each other. I mean, they wanted that win as bad as we did. It felt like the players finally matched our energy. That's what this team's been lacking in the past. Nebraska fans come extremely motivated, hyped up, excited, ready for a win, will give themselves up for it. They'll do whatever it takes. And some of the players have that same energy. Some of them don't. Today, all of them had that. That's the makings of a team who can go the distance, right? Don't take my words and spin them. I'm not talking about Nebraska being a national champion team, but this is a team who can win a lot of games. Mr. Z, thank you for the 7-Eleven. He says, 1-0, 2 weeks in a row. Scores this week, Indiana and Illinois show we can't take any game for granted. Safe flight home. Yeah, Illinois beat up on Kansas. Indiana dominated Western Illinois, I think. I mean, there are some good teams in the Big Ten that Nebraska's going to face. Let me tell you, Colorado's one of the few teams who isn't very good that's on the schedule. The rest of the teams are pretty damn good. They're going to show a lot against Nebraska. Thank you for telling me safe travels home. I'm leaving tomorrow afternoon. I'm still going out tonight. Got to go and mingle with some friends. Doug Lang, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, I'm still hoping for that 8-0 start. The 4K payout will be great. Also, those arrests in the were trash. Heard commentators were bad too. I didn't hear the commentators. I'm going to go back and watch the game, though. I'm going to download it and watch it on the plane tomorrow. But what was I saying? Oh, the 4K payout. They would need to beat Ohio State. But, man, what's going to be crazy is you're going to be able to hedge that bet because if they do start off 7-0, which looks like they might, you're going to have a good payout on that hedge. So no matter what, you'll be protected. Tommy says you missed a lot of super chats early. I'm just going down the list, answering everything I can, Tommy. I'm doing my best. It's harder when I'm on my phone. I know there's more super chats in here I'm trying to get to. Bassman, thank you for the $100 super chat. Appreciate you a ton. That's awesome. He says Jamari Butler was a beast. He made a ton of great stops. Colorado may be an okay team, but if they can do this to SC, I'll be impressed, man. SC's a long way away. A lot's going to change. We'll have to see how that game looks when we get to it. But at this point in the season, it looks like Nebraska can compete with anybody on this schedule, you know? This is a competitive team. They have a legit quarterback. Dylan is a freaking stud. They have weapons all over in terms of running backs and receivers. And obviously the defense is what we hoped it was going to be. The defense is just, man, enjoy the defense while you got it because a lot of these guys are going to the NFL next year. Husker Jedi, thank you for being a part of the Corn Craze Army for 22 months. He says, how was Compton's hype video? It wasn't aired on TV. Man, Compton's hype video, it was paired with this little show in the beginning, the fireworks and stuff. It was freaking awesome. I don't know where you can see it. Maybe you can see it on Twitter. It was legit. He was kind of talking smack about Colorado. And so, Colorado's coming out on the field and stuff, and you've got Will Compton talking, and it's like, damn, it's freaking awesome. Yes, sir. Matt Shetler, thank you for the $10 super chats. Why are you so fire, though, man? Matt, I appreciate you. Jacob, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, do you think we'll be ranked after a dominant win? I think there's a good chance Nebraska ends up ranked. I think no matter what they're ranked after next week, no matter what, they're going to beat Northern Iowa, and they're going to be ranked. But I think there's a good chance they can get ranked after this one. I don't know. We'll see. Thank you, Jacob. Wink, thank you for the $5 super chat. Keep in mind, we're not scheduled to play for 10 years. That's a lot of salt for CU for a decade. I know. Thankfully, we got the last laugh. Thankfully, Colorado's got to take this one and deal with it for a little bit. Because I, for a year, was pissed off about last year's game. An entire year. Let me see. Okay, I think we got caught up on all our super chats. Perfect. Guys, if I missed your super chat, I apologize. I'm doing my best, but it's hard. Levi's World. He said, called it perfectly, Connor. Offense was a push. Nebraska had the advantage on D. Coach's motivation of special teams, sacks, block, field goal, better clock management, and the crowd was off the hook and 0 turnovers. Hey, key word right there. 0 turnovers. You know, hold on. Colorado last year had the benefit of a Nebraska team who gave them the game. They didn't get that same energy this time around. The fact that Dylan is a good quarterback, on top of the fact that Dylan Raiola is a safe quarterback who protects the ball, is what gives me and I think everybody else so much confidence that the offense can skyrocket, right? If Dylan wasn't even a good quarterback and just protected the ball, Nebraska still would have won that game today. But the fact that he's really good obviously helps the cause. There's so much to be excited about. Husker Jedi, you sent me another $5 super chat. I responded to this one. You said, how was Compton's hype video today? Didn't I respond to that? Man, I'm delusional if I didn't. Anyway, I'm going to go out to the bars, guys. My voice is stressed. I'm tired. You wouldn't believe how tired I am. It's been a long day. When I get back on Monday, I'm going to start working on my next video. We're really going to get into this game because there's a lot of positive takeaways. I got to get rest. I'll tell you that. This has been a long weekend. I've met so many people out in Lincoln. So if I met you, I did my best to talk to everybody, but I'm not kidding you. My voice eventually goes. I got to take a break and drink some water. But I talked to a lot of people, had a lot of really good conversations. The Corn Craze Army, like I said this week in my live stream, you guys are so damn cool. You're like me. We're all of the same vibe, right? You guys are just really good people. So everyone I've met's super cool. So Julie, thank you for being a Corn Craze Army member, and thank you for the $20 super chat. She says, go Big Red. Thanks for the content. Wish I was there. Love Lincoln. Such an electric atmosphere. I cannot wait to see what it's like outside. I guarantee you it's going to be popping. It's been popping all day. It's going to be great. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here, and I will talk to you guys later. But until next time, thanks for being here. Go Big Red.